Hey guys, it's Trevor again. We've just hit 200 subscribers and I'd like to say thank you so much. It really means a lot to me and let's keep going. So it was my birthday recently and on the night before my birthday I was editing a battle report, like normal people do. And basically Brendan shows up at my apartment with a bunch of Tyranids and he tells me that he and the rest of my Warhammer friends have got me a bunch of stuff for my birthday. And I was like, thank you so much. And he was like, oh yeah, we were thinking maybe you could use them for the upcoming game on Saturday. And I was like, wait. That's kinda soon, which is why today we're gonna be painting some Zoanthropes. And we're gonna need to do them in a fast and easy way. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to partially assemble my Zoanthropes, leaving the head, body, and base separate. This is gonna help me reach some of those tricky spots a little easier while I'm painting. But before I start painting, I'm gonna grab some air dry clay and work on the bases first. I'm doing this because forward planning is cool. So we're just gonna smoosh some of that clay onto each of the bases. Then I'm gonna grab my Zoanthropes and press them into the clay so that I have a nice impression to glue them in later. Then I'm gonna grab a clay shaping tool and basically jab the clay all over so that it's got this nice rough uneven texture. I'm also gonna add a thin layer of milliput to the connection point between the Zoanthrope and the base and then create the same sort of texture on it so that it looks natural when I glue it in. Clay also tends to separate from plastic when it dries, so I'm just gonna super glue it right back together. Alright, let's leave that to dry and get down to painting our Zoanthropes. Now I like to use Citadel Wraith bone for my Tyranid skin, but instead of painting it on with a brush, we're just gonna prime them using the Citadel Wraithbone spray. This stuff is slightly expensive, but gosh darn heck it does it save me a ton of time. Once they're all primed up, I'm gonna use this uncomfortably named black paint to base coat the body carapace, claws, this little pointy bit on the ends of their tails, and the head carapace. After that, I'm gonna use this fleshy pink color to paint the brain, all the fleshy splits on the carapace, and the joints on the arms. I'm making a ton of mistakes, but that's okay because I'm just gonna come back with the black paint and clean it all up. We'll clean up the white parts later. After that, I'm gonna grab a dark red and dry brush it onto all the claws and the end of the tail. Then I'm gonna do the same with a muted orange, except this time I'll be just trying to catch the edges and tips of the claws and tail. Onto the carapace, I'm gonna grab this dark green and dry brush it onto all the carapace parts. Then I'm gonna do the same with this light green, but again I'll be trying to catch the edges and tips of all the parts of the carapace. Now I could be using some more so-called sophisticated techniques to paint the carapace, but I really feel like dry brushing gives me a more organic and natural look. And as a nice little bonus, it's really fast, and I'm extremely lazy. Next up, we're gonna grab some of that Wraithbone paint and clean up all those joints we painted earlier, as well as any of the green and red from the vigorous dry brushing that may have accidentally gotten on the skin. While I've got the Wraithbone out, I'm also gonna stipple and dry brush some of it onto the border between the brain and the skin to give it a little bit of a cheeky blend. Then I'm gonna apply a brown wash onto all the areas of the skin. I usually mix this in about 2 parts shade to 1 part water, and I try to prevent it from pooling too much in any of the recesses. Next, I'm gonna grab this red wash and paint it all over the brain and into all the fleshy splits on the carapace. As with the brown wash, this is also watered down with 2 parts shade and 1 part water. I'm gonna use some Screaming Skull to pick out all the Zoanthrope's teeth, and then I'm gonna apply Citadel's best product into all the recesses in the mouth. After that, I'm gonna grab this lighter pink paint and dry brush it onto all the raised areas on the brain. Wrinkly. Then I'm gonna grab this light purple and stipple it all over the brain to make it look slightly more gross. And finally, I'm gonna apply this gloss varnish all over the brain to give it a slightly slimy look. Alright, while that's drying, let's go and work on our bases. Now, we're not gonna do anything too crazy. We're just gonna prime them grey, paint them dark brown, hit them with that sweet Nuln oil, and dry brush some khaki paint to highlight them. Oh, and I'm also gonna do the same for that little connection point between the Zoanthropes and their bases. Okay, so let's get some super glue. Yeah, get in there, Mr. Head. Stick them on their bases. And of course, we've got to give them all slightly demeaning names. And there you go, we are done. Super easy, and I managed to finish all the painting in one evening. In fact, the longest part of this process was probably waiting for the clay on their bases to dry. If you enjoyed watching this video, please hit that like button, and if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe. Thank you to my Warhammer friends for getting me these Zoanthropes, and thank you to you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time.